The night was heavy with silence, yet your heart refused to rest. You lay awake, staring into the darkness, replaying the same thoughts that had followed you for so long. Your family, their struggles, their worries, their hidden pain, it all lived inside you. And once again, like countless nights before, you folded your hands and whispered a prayer. Not a perfect prayer, not one filled with fancy words, just a simple, honest cry from your heart. God, please take care of them. You had prayed this prayer so many times that it had become a part of you. It lived in your breath, in your thoughts, in your quiet moments. You prayed for their safety when they stepped outside. You prayed for their peace when they seemed troubled. You prayed for their healing when they carried burdens they didn't share. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Not in your prayers, but in your expectations, because time passed. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and the answers you hoped for didn't seem to arrive. The arguments still happened. The distance still existed. The struggles didn't disappear. And slowly, a question began to form in your heart, a question you didn't want to ask but couldn't ignore. Did my prayers expire? It felt painful even thinking it, but the silence made it harder to believe otherwise. Did God forget? Did I not pray enough? Did I do something wrong? The weight of these questions sat heavy on your chest, making it harder to pray the way you used to. Some nights you still prayed, but with less confidence. Other nights you stayed silent, unsure if your words would even matter. But what you didn't realize was that heaven had never been silent. God had been listening all along. Every whisper, every tear, every unspoken plea that your heart carried when your lips couldn't find the words. And now, in this very moment, a truth is being gently placed into your spirit. Your prayers never expired. Not one of them. Not the ones you spoke years ago. Not the ones you whispered through tears. Not even the ones you thought were too small or insignificant. Because when you pray with love, especially for your family, those prayers don't fade with time. They remain. They move. They grow. You see, what feels like a delay to you is not a denial from God. It is a process that is often invisible, quiet, and deeply intentional. There were moments when your family stood at crossroads you didn't know about. Decisions that could have led them down painful paths. Situations that could have caused damage beyond repair. But because of your prayers, something shifted. A thought changed. A step was redirected. A moment of pause appeared exactly when it was needed. You didn't see it happen. You didn't hear it, but it happened. Because God was working behind the scenes. He says to you now, while you were waiting, I was protecting. Think about that. Every time you felt like nothing was happening, something was happening. Every time you thought your prayer went unheard, it was already being answered in ways you couldn't yet understand. Sometimes God answers by changing circumstances, but other times, He answers by protecting you from things you never see. There were arguments that could have become permanent separation, but they didn't. There were misunderstandings that could have destroyed trust, but somehow they softened. There were dangers that could have harmed your family, but they passed by unnoticed. These were not coincidences. These were answers. Answers wrapped in quiet moments. Answers hidden in ordinary days. Answers that didn't look dramatic but were deeply powerful, because God doesn't always work in ways that are loud. Sometimes He works in ways that are steady, slow, precise, like a builder carefully laying each brick of a strong foundation. And your prayers, they became part of that foundation. God continues. Every prayer you offered became a seed planted in their lives. And seeds don't grow overnight. When you plant a seed, it disappears beneath the soil. For a while, it looks like nothing is happening. There's no visible change, no sign of growth, but underneath, something incredible is taking place. Roots are forming, strength is developing, life is preparing to rise. Your prayers are exactly like that. They were never wasted. They were planted, and now they are growing. There is someone in your family who has been carrying a burden they never fully shared. They smile, they laugh, they act strong, but inside they feel lost. You prayed for them without even knowing everything they were going through, and God heard you. Even now He is working in their heart, softening it, guiding it, bringing clarity where there was confusion. You may not see the change yet, but it is happening, and soon you will notice something different. Maybe they will speak more openly. Maybe they will seem lighter, calmer. Maybe they will make a decision that surprises you. And in that moment you will realize, this is what I prayed for. There is also a relationship in your family that felt distant, not completely broken, but not the same as it once was. The connection faded slowly, almost without you noticing, and it hurt, because you remembered how things used to be, so you prayed, quietly, repeatedly, faithfully, and even when nothing seemed to change, your prayers kept working. God says, I am restoring what you thought was lost. Restoration doesn't always happen instantly. It happens in layers, in small moments, in subtle shifts. A kind word where there used to be silence. A smile where there used to be tension. A conversation that feels easier than before. These are not small things. They are signs. Signs that something is being rebuilt, because your prayers created a bridge. A connection that distance could not destroy. Even when you stopped praying for a while, because you felt tired, discouraged, or unsure, the prayers you had already spoken did not stop. They continued. They remained active, because sincere prayer has a life of its own. It doesn't depend on your constant repetition. It depends on your intention, and your intention was pure. You wanted your family to be okay. You wanted them to be safe, happy, and whole. And that kind of love, that kind of prayer, does not expire. God reminds you again, do not lose faith in the middle of the process. This is the part where many people give up. They stop believing just before the breakthrough. They lose hope right before the answer appears. But you are not meant to give up. You are closer than you think, closer to the healing, closer to the peace, closer to the change you've been praying for. There will be a moment, maybe sooner than you expect, when something shifts in a way you cannot ignore. It might be a simple conversation. It might be a quiet moment of understanding. It might be a situation that resolves itself in a way you didn't anticipate. And suddenly, it will all make sense. You will look back and realize that God was working the entire time, that nothing was delayed without purpose, that every prayer had a place in the story. And your heart will feel something you haven't felt in a long time, peace, real, deep peace. The kind that doesn't come from everything being perfect, but from knowing that everything is being handled. God says, I heard you the first time you prayed, and I never stopped listening. Let that truth settle in your heart. You were never ignored. You were never forgotten. You were never speaking into emptiness. Every prayer you spoke reached exactly where it needed to go. And now, those prayers are returning to you as answers, not all at once, but in the perfect time, in the perfect way. Because God understands what your family needs more than you do. He sees the full picture, the past, the present, and the future, and He is aligning everything slowly, carefully, beautifully. So don't stop now. Keep praying, keep believing, even if your voice feels small, even if your faith feels weak. Even if you don't see immediate results, because your prayers are not just words. They are power. They are protection. They are seeds of change. And your family, they are being covered by that power every single day. There are things happening for them right now that you cannot see. Doors being opened, troubles being avoided, hearts being healed. And all of it is connected to the prayers you once thought had expired. But they didn't. They never did. God's message today, your prayers are still alive, they are still working, and they are closer to being answered than you realize. God's message now, trust me, I am taking care of your family. Every prayer you placed in my hands is being fulfilled, step by step, moment by moment. So tonight, when the silence returns and your thoughts begin to wander again, pray, not with doubt, but with trust, because your prayers for your family never expired.